Hey brothers, this is Joseph with Masonic Improvement. I hope everybody's doing well. I know it has been probably 2 or 3 weeks since I last made a video. I apologize for that. Um, I've recently undergone a career change. Uh, so I've been very, I guess, distracted with preparation and anticipation and everything else. It's a very good change, and I'm very excited about it. But unfortunately, that also meant that my focus shifted away from uh, Masonic improvement, Freemasonry, and just some other things in general while I was preparing for this. So, on the plus side, I'm going to have quite a bit more time now for the next few months as I am training to go ahead and, focus back on making more videos and delivering content. So that's a really good thing. And again, I do apologize if there's anyone who actually looks forward to my videos once a week. I don't know that there's many of you, but if you do, I do apologize for that. In this video, I want to talk about 10 essential actions for every Freemason. This is going to be part 2 of a video that I posted almost probably a month ago, and I have just never had the time to get around to it. In the previous video, we covered 1 through 5 of the 10 actions that I have in mind, and in this video, we're going to just cover the remaining 5. Before we do go into that, there's a few things I want to bring to everyone's attention. First of all, I have 2 books that I would like to recommend, one of which is called Wild at Heart by John Eldridge. Eldridge? It's a very good book. Regardless of any pronunciation issues, I strongly recommend that every brother check it out. It's not a Masonic book. You'll see it on Square and Compass on it. But I think if we limit our Masonic improvement strictly to books that were written by Masons, that are for Masons, then we are limiting ourselves, because any kind of improvement that we can undergo as men is Masonic improvement. And I think that's where we often lose our focus, because it doesn't know how much esoteric knowledge you have, how much you know about the history of the fraternity, or what degrees you even hold. You need to always strive to improve yourself. It's something we owe to ourselves as men. It's something we owe to our families, something we owe to the fraternity and our communities and our countries. So again, Wild at Heart, great book. I'll put a link below in the video description. Check it out and just grab it. I mean, seriously, it's worth every penny. I have one more book recommendation, and I have recommended this book before, but I cannot recommend it enough. It's worth bringing up again. That is Observing the Craft by Brother Andrew Hammer. Seriously, if it's not in your Masonic library, grab it. Get it. It's worth it. It covers so much good stuff. And the reason I'm bringing this up again is because I recently loaded it out to another brother. He read it, and I mean, it just blew his mind. It's worth reading. Get it. And again, I'll put a link for that down below as well. I have one last thing I want to bring up, and that is I have expanded my merchandise. My previous experiment with merchandise didn't really go very well, but there was enough interest in it to encourage me to push forward. So instead of the other provider that I went through, I've changed over to Spreadshirt. And so the link is right here. I will also post a link below in the description. All kinds of good links in the description this time. And it's still pretty basic, but I am much more satisfied with the results in this case. Just for example, I mean, it's just a coffee mug, but I am very pleased with the turnout. And let's see what else we got. I just want to show you a basic shirt. So I've changed the design. You have a pretty basic, just Masonic improvement with the website on the chest there, but on the back, making good lodges better, which is kind of one of the new, my new catchphrase, I suppose. I really I'm very pleased with the way these turned out. I have had some brothers that have already purchased them, and they have told me that they are very satisfied with the quality of the shirts and the print work on it and the fit. So if you are interested in any of these, or if you just want to support Masonic Improvement, you can, of course, go to the link above right here, or just click that link in that description and grab yourself some merchandise. Alright, so we're going to talk about the remaining 5 actions that will benefit every Freemason, and by extent, their Masonic Lodge. The first action is simply be accountable. Be accountable for your actions, be accountable for the whatever problems that you're facing in your lodge, in your life, because the first step to fixing any issue is taking ownership of it. Even if an issue is not a result of something that you did do, still take ownership of it, because it's still your problem. Take ownership of it, and once you have that ownership, then you can move forward with it. You can actually go about improving the situation, changing what's wrong, but you have to take that ownership. You see this a lot in the fraternity, where there's problems that no one really talks about. Everyone just hopes that it will go away, or everyone maybe hopes that if they ignore it long enough, someone else will come up and take care of it. Be accountable for the problems in your life and in the fraternity and in your career. And then from there, you can move forward. That's a very powerful action. Action number 2, challenge your assumptions. The fraternity is littered with so many assumptions. Many of them are just a result of bad practices that are embedded in lodge culture. But you need to always question why certain things are done. And that's the first step, really, in any kind of improvement process. You have to evaluate, why do we do it this way? And once you understand that, then you can go forward about improving that. Just as an example that many of you may not agree with, say your lodge always does scholarships every year. There's an assumption that you have to do these things for your fraternity, because it is assumed, again, and sometimes these assumptions stack on top of each other, it is assumed that if you give scholarships, then people will notice your lodge is giving scholarships, and then it is assumed that these people will petition your lodge because they assume that's all you do. And so it's really good to get back to the basics and question, why are we doing this? And ultimately, is this something we need to continue doing? The answer may not be what you or your lodge wants to hear, but it's very important. And this actually leads to number 3, and that is saying what needs to be said. And this is a real challenge, especially if you're an introvert. Namely because no one really wants to step on anybody's toes. But there are certain things that take place every year, every month, every week, in every lodge that are allowed to continue just because no one will speak up. No one will challenge those assumptions. No one will say, why do we do this? Or say, I don't think we need to continue this. Or I can think of a better way to do this. And this is hard. And I'm not suggesting any of these actions are easy. If they're easy, everybody would do it. I even have difficulty with things like this. I am a very introverted person, which you may not think, given that I have my YouTube channel and everything. I would even say that this single action right here, or the lack of it in most lodges, is the single reason, or a huge contributor to the state of the fraternity in many places, and the state of many lodges. It's because nobody ever stood up and said, this is not a good thing to be doing. We should not be doing things this way. We need to take an action. So, I know it's hard, but it's a very essential action. Action number 4, share your point of view. It's not enough just to say what no one else will, because otherwise, if you're the guy that just always stands up and is just always saying things, it's too far on the other end of the spectrum. It's all well and good to be the only person to say what no one else will, but you need to bring your perspective as well. You can't just stand up and say, that's stupid, we don't need to be doing that. You need to say, I don't agree with this, and this is why. This is how I feel about it, and that is why I think we need to do it this way. So, it's very complementary. These last three actually are very complementary to each other. You need to share your point of view, explain where you're coming from, and try to justify your thought process with your brethren, because unfortunately, you're going to hear that that's not the way we always did it, and that can shut you down right there. So once you come up and say, I don't think we need to do it this way, this is why. They can't shut you down as easy. If you come up with it with a good, sound, logical point of view, then you have something to build off of. And even if someone stands up and says, well, that's not the way we always did it, and it stops there, you still put an idea in brothers' minds, and they still have something that you can talk about later. And it may not fly right then, but once an idea is in someone's mind, you can't get rid of it. And that may be the seed it takes for later down the road to make that change you need to make. Finally, you need to up your game. And I mean this within length of your cable tow, your 24-inch gauge, obviously. But we all need to up our games. And the best way to do that is just be supportive of one another. Support the worship master, support your grandmaster, and encourage others to do so as well. Encourage people to come to lodge. Encourage people to be active in the lodge. Volunteer for committees. Volunteer for offices. Help out. Make yourself an essential member of your lodge. And the way to do that is to make yourself as useful as possible. Just be the most useful person you can at that lodge. Just offer help with anything, volunteer with anything. And I know this is sometimes easier said than done. Again, refer back to your cable tow, refer back to your 24-inch gauge. You won't always have time or the resources to be everything for everybody. And that's really, I'm not even suggesting you be everything for everybody. I'm just suggesting make yourself a useful contributor of your lodge. So that's all I have for this video, my brothers. I thank you once again, as always, for watching. I thank you once again for being patient while I was away for a few weeks. If you found this video helpful or interesting or useful, the best thing that you can do, my brother, is share it. Share it with your lodge Facebook page. Share it with like-minded brethren. Share it with brethren that aren't like-minded, that you want to share a new point of view with them. I also want to remind all of my brethren that I do have a Patreon page. That link is below in the description. Check out my Facebook page if you haven't checked that out before. I post a lot of content that you just don't see on YouTube. I feel as though it's all very beneficial. It's just not everything translates to YouTube very well. And sometimes I have an idea or a thought that isn't worth making a video about. It's just a short little 60-second video. I also have an Instagram. Just do a search for Masonic Improvement. You'll find me pretty easy. Once again, that's all I have, brothers. I'll catch you on the next video. Thank you as always.